Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel Must Love Labs. My name is Alan. On this channel we discuss tips and tools for how to raise, breed, and sell Labrador Retrievers as quality family pets. So if you're new here, you might consider subscribing. In today's video, we're going to discuss how to manage your stud dog when you're going to skip a heat cycle and not let them breed. I've got 6 great tips for how to do that. Let's get to it. Okay, here's tip number 1. Recognize behavioral changes in your stud dog. There's a few things that are going to change when the female goes into heat. Your stud dog's focus is going to be different. He's going to be thinking about things that he's normally not thinking about, and it's all hormone driven. It's not a training issue. It's all about hormones in the breeding cycle. So your stud dog's going to be aware that there's a female in heat around him. And you can expect him to become more aggressive. He can be aggressive not just with other male dogs that might come around, but he can also be aggressive with female dogs. His aggression level is just going to increase, and that's all part of the breeding cycle. He's going to have a lack of appetite. He's going to stop eating. He's going to stop thinking about food, and it's going to be up to you to deal with that. But that's another one of the signs that your stud dog is focusing on breeding instead of other things. Is he'll quit worrying about food. He'll stop eating, or at least his appetite will drop way off. So his focus is going to be on the breeding cycle. That's going to be what he's concerned with, and it's easy to mistake training issues, bad behavior, if you will, and that's not what's going on. He's still the dog that he was last week, but now his hormones are kicking in and he's focusing on breeding. And it's important to understand and be aware of these behavioral changes. Okay, and that brings us to tip number 2. You're going to want to separate your stud dog from the female. We need to move him far enough away from the female to where he can't see her and to where he can't smell her. And this is because you don't want them to breed. If we were on a heat cycle where you were going to want to have puppies, then that would be completely different. But in this scenario, we're talking about not wanting puppies this time around. Maybe you're giving a female a break for whatever the reasons, or maybe you just don't want to have puppies right now. So we got to separate the male dog from the female. He's going to be losing his mind with hormonal urges. The scent, her progesterone level spikes, and the scent just tells him that it's time to breed, and that's where his focus will be. He'll at times seem almost uncontrollable, and the way that you want to help him out with this is to separate him from the female physically. You want to get him to where he can't see her, and you want to get him to where he can't smell her. It's a tough time for him, and he's still your buddy. And we can help him through this process. Generally speaking, if at all possible, we want to kennel him outside. We need an outdoor kennel for him. He's going to be the outside dog while this is going on. Mama dog's going to be the inside dog while this is going on. Now, if you don't have the infrastructure to separate your dogs this way, then what you're going to want to think about is sending him to a boarding kennel for a couple of weeks. Or to a friend's house, a relative, somebody else that knows and likes the dog and wouldn't mind having him around as a guest for a week or two. But he needs to get separated from the female. Now, I can show you some video here of what we do here. My females can have the house and the front yard, which is fenced, which allows me to protect them, not just from my stud dog, but more importantly from other dogs that might wander in looking for the same thing. And I can put my stud dogs out in the kennel far enough away, and it's on the other side of my house. They can't see the females, they can't smell them, and this allows them to quit focusing on them and calm down and not be so intent on the breeding process. They may still catch scent of them on the breeze or hear them barking, but they'll be far enough away and out of sight. You know the saying, out of sight, out of mind, that goes a long ways. And this is the best way to help your male dog out through this time, is to get him to where he can't see her, and certainly where he can't access her, and even possibly to where he can't smell her, or at least not very much. Hey folks, if you're getting value from this video, do me a favor and hit that like button. It really does help out quite a bit, and thanks in advance for doing that. Okay, here's tip number 3. Make sure your stud dog keeps eating. Folks, he has to keep eating. He's got to keep his health up. So if he doesn't want to do that, then you can find some of his favorite foods. We like to use hard-boiled eggs. We use those to keep the mama dogs eating when their nutritional and appetite requirements change when they're developing puppies and feeding puppies and getting finicky. And the same holds true for a finicky male dog that's losing his appetite a little bit because he's thinking about breeding, especially if he's well fed and if he's healthy. It's nothing for them to go a couple of days without eating. But you want him to keep eating. You want him to keep his health up and not lose a bunch of weight. So find some of his favorite foods. Hard-boiled eggs, different kinds of meats that you can feed him. It doesn't even have to be very much, and you can even mix it in with his kibble just to make it taste yummy. So keep your male dog eating. That brings us to tip number 4. You want to exercise your male dog regularly. He still needs his exercise. He can't just be banished to the kennel for a couple of weeks. He's still got to exercise. 20 to 30 minutes twice a day is fine. You can take him out, take him for a walk. Don't bring him back around that female. And you want to keep control of him. You can leash walk him or put him into a yard where you don't have to worry about him too much, but still kind of keep an eye on him and make sure he's not trying to jump over or dig his way out. But exercise your male dog. He's got to keep his exercise up as well. Okay, here's tip number 5. You want to protect your stud dog. Now, what do I mean by that? When you've got a female in heat, there's going to be other male dogs that are going to come around. And just as a natural process, these males get into it with each other and start competing for breeding rights. And the last thing you want is for your dog getting into a dog fight. You don't want that to happen for your male or your female. So you need to protect him and her. She's going to be in the house and in a yard, as we discussed, but your male, he needs to be out in a kennel, or at the very least behind a tall fence. And this is for his own protection. This will keep him out of trouble. It'll keep him out of fights. When other males come around, they can't get to him, he can't get to them. That's a win-win for everybody. So remember to protect your male dog. There's other times where maybe you can let him run around and not worry about things too much, but things change when there's a heat cycle going on. And we need to be aware of it and look out for our male dogs, not just the females. We got to watch out for our stud dogs too. And that brings us to tip number 6. Be patient. You need to be patient with your stud dog, folks. He's kind of losing his mind right now. He really still is the dog that you know and love. But right now, he's got a nose full of progesterone scent from a heated female. And that's where his focus is. And we need to be patient with him and be understanding of this. And it's not the end of the world. It's only going to last for a few weeks. The first week that your female is in heat, it's not too much of an issue. About a week after she first starts bleeding, it's really not too big of a deal. Long about week 2 is where it gets interesting. He starts trying to mount her. She starts deciding yes or no. He starts losing his mind trying to get to her. And that's going to play out for week 2 and week 3 for the most part. By the time you get to week 4, which is 4 weeks away from when you saw first blood, that's day 1. About week 4, it all starts to dwindle and taper off and go away. And you can kind of watch for it. But as long as your female is playing with your male and being rowdy with him, and flagging, which means she's turning her tail off to the side to expose herself and give him access, that's when he's going to be focused on breeding and not much else. And we need to be patient with him through this process, because we're basically denying him access to what he really wants to do, which is to make puppies. And we got to be patient with him through this process. That's probably one of the biggest things I wanted to talk to you about today. Above all, be kind to your dogs. Be patient with them, be understanding of their processes, and be kind to them. Love your dogs as much as they love you, and things will go pretty good. If you'd like to learn more about breeding dogs, we have a series on how to become a dog breeder. You can watch it right here. Click this card. Thanks for watching Must Love Labs, and we'll see you in the next video.